Is it? There we go. Recording
Got
and
it.
set.
Great. Thank you. It's 6:32. We'll call the October meeting of the President's Council for District 25 to order. The first order of business is we have the September minutes to be reviewed and approved. Carrie, do you want me to share them on my screen and you can just go over them?
Yes, thank you so much, Rachel.
Sure. Okay, I did just have them. Now everybody gets to see everything I have open.
Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate it. For everybody, I've never shared a screen before, so I'm gonna have to learn that for you guys next time. My apologies.
You'll get it.
That's why we
it's all good.
That's why Lewis is on board to do Zoom 101. So it looks like I pulled up the agenda instead of the minutes. So let me go back to wherever my email is. Too many results for minutes. All right, let me stop sharing while I look for it so everyone doesn't see all my dirty laundry. Oh, that's why I'm in the 499 inbox. This is what happens when you think you're prepared for something. Okay.
You need me to help in any way?
I got it.
All right.
Just took me a minute to find it. Okay, here we go.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
I don't know why it's cut off. I don't know what's going on tonight. I don't know why it's cut off.
I have it here if you want me to just go ahead and read.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Just give an overview.
Sorry again, and thank you everybody for waiting.
Carrie, you can just give an overview. You don't have to read it line by line.
Okay, great. At 6:34 was the call to order by Rachel. And then Dr. Mike did a great presentation highlighting the Listen to Learn tour, most specifically the District 25's vision and priorities. At 7:01, Esther shared her screen and showed us a bunch of key points for the bylaws, DOE links, and then the PTA section and Chancellor's regulations. At 7:21, Rachel gave an update about the CPAC meeting. At 7:25, Rachel opened the floor for questions. And then 7:50, Esther and Rachel continued the questions after a brief introduction of the new board. And then 8:07, Rachel adjourned the meeting.
Okay, so would someone like to make a motion to accept the minutes as they've been read?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Okay.
Jinx. Yes, MS 219, Myrna Pacheco.
You owe me a Pepsi.
All right, next time when we see each other, I'll get a Pepsi.
All right, great. So the minutes are approved. Let me stop sharing my screen. And next, we'd like to turn it over to Dr. Mike. You have the next part of the agenda.
Terrific. Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be in company with you guys again. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about current state of the district. So if some of you were fortunate to be on the CEC meeting, you would have heard this already. So it is a little bit of a repeat if you did, if you were participating, but I do want to make sure that the information is shared as widely as we can with our PTA folks. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you the current state of District 25. Just a couple of important notes in the event that you haven't seen this yet. And just reminders for all of our parents around the My Schools account. Really important when it comes to accessing applications, particularly for admissions, the admissions process for 3K, pre-K, kindergarten, GNT, middle school, and high school. For any of our parents that are asking, please have them connect with their parent coordinators so that they have access to the My Schools account. Admissions timelines. High school, the applications for high school applications, specialized high schools admission test. The application window opened on October 3rd. Friday, October 27th, which is coming around the corner. SHSAT registration closes. Wednesday, November 8th, SHSAT school day testing. Friday, December 1st, high school application closes. And Thursday, March 7th, that's when high school offers will be released. I do encourage all families to make sure that they're doing their due diligence in looking up the schools that are of most interest to your children, so that the application is completed in that way, so that after those applications close, you don't get into that space of, oh, I should have. So you do have some time. Please make sure that that message is out for any families that applying for high school, that they connect and check in with with their kids around the schools that they're really interested in. Middle school, Wednesday, October the 11th, middle school application window opened. Closes on the deadline, to register to test for Mark Twain and District 21 talents is on November 10th. Friday, December 8th, middle school application window closes, and then April 3rd is when middle school offers will be released. Same for our parents for middle school, making sure that we're identifying the schools in the order with which you would like to see your children apply. Just making sure that you're doing that due diligence. And if you're not sure, please reach out to the district office and we'll be happy to help you and or your school counselor in your buildings. Fall 2024, kindergarten and kindergarten GNT, Tuesday, December 5th, kindergarten and kindergarten GNT applications open. Friday, January 19th, kindergarten and kindergarten GNT applications close. And the 27th of March is when offers will be released for both of those areas. 3K pre-K, Wednesday, January 10th, applications open. Friday, March 1st, applications close. Monday, April 15th, GNT upper grade application opens, and May 3rd, GNT upper grade application closes. Any questions about middle school or high school or elementary application process, please make sure you touch base with your schools and or the district office, and we'll get you the answers you need. Listening to Learn Tour has been going pretty well. We've gone to five schools so far. We've met with the U of T virtually. We met with DC 37 virtually, and the pre-K community as well in a virtual space. Special thanks to Community Councilmember Ung and Senator Liu. They joined me at the last PS20 event, and Councilmember Ung announced a $500,000 grant for PS20 at that time. So we thank her for her support for our schools. In this particular case was for PS20. We did receive a lot of feedback. You can see here, this is just a kind of outline of the number of people that were present during each of these visits. One of our schools actually had over 500 people present, and parents and kids included. So we have received quite a bit of content from our families and staff this past 6 weeks. Things that we've kind of identified based on comments from our community. And I'll just kind of highlight the top ones. Communication is something that was shared that is at the top of the list that folks believe we do well. Believe that teachers and administrators are very approachable and are consistent in their message. Strong sense of community, support for staff and professional learning. I'm very happy with the focus on reading and inclusiveness. So we have a number of other ones, but those are just the top series of them that were identified by community members. The areas in yellow are things that I just want to bring everyone's attention to in terms of things that we need to strengthen as per our visits. Now, the more communication to parents, one that is not highlighted, was more along the lines of continuing to do that, to do that outreach and support. But some of the ones that did come up is more after-school programs and activities for students. So that's something that we are going to continue to connect with DYCD to offer that outreach to connect with DYCD to see if we can get additional CBOs inside of our district schools, particularly our elementary schools, and continue to push our buildings with offering after-school club opportunities for our kids. Diving deeper into HMH, this was a staff request, but I also think it's important for parents, which is why we do have two of our members. Thank you, Anna and Melinda, for being here today to talk to our parents around HMH. Something that we do want to do as the year is going on, offer those spaces for our families to get an understanding of the new program we're using. School safety and dismissal. This is something that has come up during the Listening to Learn tours, particularly the dismissal component and the congestion around schools. So I did reach out to our local precincts and they offered an application of sorts for parents that are interested, and I will make sure that we post it inside of our documents page for the President's Council. For parents that are interested, they do have crossing guard opportunities. It's upwards of 20 hours of work per week, and I think the rate was at $18 per hour. I know that it's not necessarily the most appealing thing maybe for some, but maybe there are families that are interested in doing that for the community, and there is an application for that. But our school safety, inside of that conversation, our local precincts are willing to connect with us and support, our efforts of building safety. And perhaps, moving forward, it can be an opportunity where they come to visit President's Council to share a little bit about how they're keeping our kids safe as well. Special education support. We did receive quite a bit of positive feedback from the last meeting, from our last CEC meeting, in terms of the outreach that was provided from our district. So Nathan did an amazing job. I thank him for what he has done for the CEC. But because of that, we're going to be offering additional special education opportunities for our families, particularly of those that do have children with special needs and or children that may need special services moving forward. So Nathan will be organizing a series of events for our families to participate in.
Dr. Mike, just wanted to also say, President's Council invited Nathan for our next meeting, which will be in November. So he will be coming to speak to President's Council next month.
Yeah, and Nathan did a great job, and I encourage you to all think about topics that you would love for Nathan to cover. He's going to establish a series, but if there are other things that you believe are important, he's willing to do that too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next month's agenda also. The space around attendance, I'm pretty excited to say that right now we have the second lowest chronic absenteeism rates in the city, as well as the second highest overall attendance rate in the city at this time. Our goal is to continue to push forward, because we know that the more our kids are in school, the better off we all are. So our schools, in concert with our attendance coordinator in the district, will continue to provide supports with routine meetings, routine check-ins at our buildings to provide families with the supports they need to be in school on a daily basis. Social emotional learning, which you'll see all the way at the bottom, it's highlighted in yellow as well, is feedback that we did get from our parents. Esther, Jenny, and Wing, our social worker, have organized professional learning series around executive functioning for our kids, which is very much connected to social emotional learning. It'll be done in English, Spanish, and Chinese. Flyers will be made accessible to all of you so that you can, certainly attend or encourage others to participate as well. I think it's really important. L supports, those are ongoing for the district, something that was noted. Supports for our special needs children, also something that is ongoing through our district team. And one other one that I highlighted here is for school aid training. And this is particularly during recess and cafeteria time. One of our goals is to reduce the number of infractions during recess and during lunchtime. So in order for that to happen, we do need to make sure we're supporting those that are working in those areas. So those are just a couple of key points that did come from our Listening to Learn tour that I wanted to mention to all of you tonight. Our last visit is on Wednesday at PSMS 164. That is our last in-person visit for the time being. I will be doing another district-wide virtual session in November to kind of go over the state of the district based on current diagnostic assessments that we administered across our schools to give everyone the current state of where we are based on those results. I do want to congratulate PS 242 and PS 244. They were identified by the U.S. Department of Education as National Blue Ribbon Schools based on their performance in their buildings. So a big shout out to those two schools. Ms. Pritchard and Mr. Groff have done a great job supporting their buildings and to earn this recognition. So kudos to them. Okay, so now to the space of information I do think is really important for everyone to have an understanding of is our district data and currently how we're performing as a district based on New York State results. As a district, we did perform relatively similar to the previous year. Our increase was minor, went by 0.3% from where we were in 2022 to 2023. We did see an increase in percentage of level ones, which is not something that we do want to see. So you'll see our teachers and our building leaders are really focused on curbing those results into this school year. The one thing that of note that I've been sharing a bit with our teams, whether it's the DLT during the CEC or now here at the President's Council, is the grade level that demonstrated some regression compared to previous years was grade 3. Typically grade 3, we're performing, well over 60% of our kids are on or above grade level. This particular year, we did perform under 60%. So our kids are at a lower starting point than what they were in grade 3. So our buildings are certainly focused on our children in grade 4 moving forward this year. Different from that, our children in grade 4 and 5, when you look at our bar graph here, the two middle groups, grades 4 and 5, the middle and the top, you'll see that there was an improvement in the number of students that were performing on or above grade level and a reduction in the number of children that were performing below grade level, which is what the pattern that we do want to see. Students in grade 6 and 7, grade 6, 7, and 8 did perform at a lower rate than previous grade 6 and 7. Although the cohorts, so when we did 5 to 6 and 7 to 8, we did see a positive change. In fact, our 8th graders did leave us with 72% of our kids on or above grade level. Certainly that's not enough, but we do want to have our kids trending at a higher performance level, leaving us in 8th grade ready for high school and beyond. So when you look at the data, you'll notice that there is, in the 8th grade in particular, a reduction in level 1s and an increase in level 3s and 4s. Students with disabilities, this is an area that while we did make improvement by 2.8%, there is still a ton of work to be done for our students with disabilities across District 25. I'm happy to say that we do work really, really hard at making sure our kids are receiving the services that they are due. Tracy and Nathan from our team are constantly connecting with our buildings to make sure that we have our students receiving the services as per their IEPs. We do have to continue to work on this particular subgroup as we move through this school year. Similar patterns exist for our children with disabilities in grades 3 to 5, as did our all students population. You'll see that grade 3 was at a much lower starting place than grades 4 and 5. We did see progress in grades 4 and 5. Grade 4 improved by over 13%, and grade 5 improved by over 7% when compared to the previous school year. So we do have more work that we have to do for that grade 3, as I mentioned, that are now our current grade 4 this school year. Similar pattern for grades 6, 7, and 8. Grade 8 improved by 7.7% and decreased the number of level 1s by 16%. Grade 6 improved by 1.4%, with a decrease in level 1s by 13.3%, which is a nice improvement. However, obviously we know that there's a ton of work to do here for our students with special needs. Our English language learners, we also saw a change here that we do not want to see. We did decrease the number of children that were performing at or above grade level for our ELLs. This is a moving target. As we test children out, new English language learners do come in, and we do have to continue to prepare them for the New York State assessments, something that we will continue to do. Grades 3, 4, and 6, and 7 showed a reduced performance compared to 2022, and grade 3 saw the biggest difference as compared to past years, with 11% difference. Is not something that we want to see, but those patterns from previous grade levels that I just shared also rendered itself when we're talking about our ELLs in District 25. Our subgroup data, you will notice that it stayed rather consistent from past years. Our Asian subgroup grew by 1.8%, our Black learners by 1.3%, our white learners decreased by 0.2%, and our Hispanic learners by 0.7%. From the previous year's data. The one subgroup that I did want to shout out for making progress was our grade 8. We did see quite a bit of movement in the positive sense. Our Black learners grew by 14.7% compared to 8th graders in 2022. 61.7% of our learners were on or above I messed that up. Our Black learners improved by 14.7% compared to 8th graders in 2022, with 61.7% of our learners on or above, 57.6% of our Hispanic learners, 80% of our Asian learners, and 75.4% of our white learners, with each subgroup making improvements in the 8th grade. And we do want to continue to push towards that trajectory of improvement by the time our children leave us and into high school. So our math data was a little bit different. Math, we saw a positive change across our district community by 8% to the positive. So we went from 58.4% to 66.4%. And we saw a reduction in the number of children that were below standard by over 6% this school year. Across grades 3 to 5, we did see our data improve. Grades 4 and 5 had the greatest difference, with over 7% of our students on or above grade level, with grade 3 also 4.5% higher than previous years. And we saw a reduction in the number of children that were at level 1, certainly where we don't want our children to be is in that space of not meeting standards. Also in grades 6 through 8, again, positive changes here. Grades 6 and 7 exhibit the greatest difference, with over 10 to 12% of students improving and moving on or above grade level. Grade 8 also performed higher in terms of the number of children that were on or above grade level. The one caveat here is that we did increase the number of level 1 students here in the 8th grade. The part that I do want to make sure everyone knows is that our 8th graders is not a full representation, as 1,400 children did take the New York State Algebra 1 Regents this year, and they are not included in this particular data set from the state assessment. Our students with disabilities did improve by 9.7% in terms of the number of children on or above grade level, and a reduction of almost 13% of children performing at level 1. This is, again, a similar pattern across grade levels 3, 4, and 5 that you just saw in the previous data. Grade 5 increased by 4.8%, grade 4 by 13.7%, And grade 3 did decline by 0.1 from last year, but all grade levels did see a reduction in the number of students that were performing at level 1. Grade 6 through 8, students with disabilities. Grade 8 increased by 9.7%, grade 7 by 21.3%, and grade 6 by 12.6% as compared to the previous year's data. Grade 7 saw a reduction in the number of students that were at level 1 by 27.8%, and grade 6 by 15.7%. Grade 8 did see an increase in the number of students performing at level 1, which is not what we want to see. Our L learners also increased by their performance by 2.8% from the previous year and reduced their number of level 1s by 8.4%. And lastly, our subgroup data. We did improve across our subgroups. Our white subgroup did improve by 12.4%, our Black learners by 10.8%, our Hispanic learners by 9.6%, and our Asian learners by 8.1%, and a reduction in level 1s from ranging from 3.9% to 13.4% across our district. So I know that I just spit a lot of numbers out at you, but I did want to make sure that you were aware of the current state of our district performance. Does anyone have any specific questions about what I just shared with you about the current state of our district schools? So I encourage you, this is posted on our district site. You know, all the information is there for all of you to access and make use of as you need to for your own school communities. I also encourage you to make sure you're touching base with your schools about the current state of their own buildings, just so for your awareness and feedback to your schools around next steps. It is really an important part of our work. For those of you who know me or getting to know me, you'll see me talk about data often, and more important, what we're going to do about it once we do have it. You know, so much of our action planning is all dedicated to making adjustments to practice based on what we've learned, which we will be doing throughout the year. And I'll be giving updates as the year goes on in terms of the progress that we are making from across our district schools. So I'm here in the event that anyone has any questions about it. I will always be transparent with everyone around where we are as a district. You know, there's no information that I will not share with you because I do believe it's important that you are in the know. So whatever you need or questions that you have, I'd be happy to answer.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Mike, for sharing all that information. And that's very positive to hear about our chronic absenteeism being so low and our attendance so high. So all that focus last year must have really had some positive results on chronic absenteeism.
Yeah, and you know what, Rachel, just really one quick thing. There's a huge disparity, everyone, between kids that are in school and children that are chronically absent in terms of their performance. Dependent on the school, it does range, but it's a 25 to 30% difference for kids that are in school every day versus kids that are not. And that's a huge disparity, one of which that we're consistently trying to work on to improve as the year's going on. But it does impact overall performance of our kids. Yeah.
Very important.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Well, as was mentioned, we are fortunate to have 2 members from Team Awesome to help us with information related to the new reading curriculum, HMH. So I'd like to turn the floor over to Anna, and I believe it was Melinda.
Thank you. Everyone. Welcome. And thank you for having us. Just give us 2 seconds. We're just going to share our screen and we'll be right with you.
Okay, ready, Anna?
Perfect. So my name is Anna Arrigo and I serve as the literacy lead for District 25. And I'm here with my colleague.
I am Melinda Willens, and I am supporting the middle schools in the implementation of HMH into literature.
Perfect. So thank you. So this evening, we will provide you with an overview of our K-5 HMH curriculum, which is titled HMH into reading, and our middle school curriculum, which is titled HMH into literature. So to begin our learning together, we wanted to start with our why. We would like to frame our learning for the session around our why, with a specific focus on moving to a district-wide literacy curriculum for our K-8 students. Having a unified curriculum builds consistency and coherence, literacy instruction across our District 25 schools. It ensures students have access to grade level content aligned to the next generation learning standards. It is grounded in research, such as the science of reading, along with evidence-based literacy practices. It also creates a foundation of high quality instruction delivered for all K-8 students. And it also allows for a district-wide consistency of professional learning and planning. Another why is also because it connects with all families with accessible at-home learning experiences. HMH into reading received EdReports highest ratings in all 3 gateways with text quality, building knowledge, and usability within the program. So for example, some of the texts included in the program are high quality and engaging and rigorous to support knowledge building of what the students will actually be reading. The materials include students questioning, tasks, and developmental appropriate behaviors within reading and writing, speaking and listening, and beginning to think critically. The materials are also very friendly for teacher and student access as well. The K-8 HMH curriculum is grounded in creating strong, purposeful readers and writers. All of the resources embedded in HMH are both teacher and student friendly. The curriculum involves engaging literature that is motivating for students and also provides strong supports for all learners. The curriculum also invites our students to think critically about the text they are reading as they participate in authentic reading along with the classroom teacher and independently. On the next slide, you will see we highlighted how they are building consistency between HMH into reading and HMH into literature. And one of the main focuses that both curriculums both engage children in high quality literature, and it provides daily opportunities for literacy discussion, and it fosters independent reading skills, and it provides an array of materials for differentiated small group instruction. One example of this integration of content and language is that each module within the reading is thematic, so it grows across content. This would never replace our specific content professional learning for our students, but this is in addition and makes connections so that you can see there are connections through science and social studies within each of the module that the students are immersed in. So as within each lesson, the classroom teacher engages the students in a vocabulary lesson, and we wanted to really pull this out so that you can get a better understanding of what a simple lesson would look like for the students are being a part of on a daily basis. So this is a second grade HMH lesson where the students are immersed in a high leverage practice of immersing students with vocabulary words that they will encounter as part of their reading. Students are engaged in a vocabulary routine of first, saying the word. Second, they have an opportunity to explain the meaning along with the classroom teacher and their classmates. And third, to talk about the examples within each vocabulary word. This type of exposure is really important as it allows the students to explicitly and fully understand what the words mean in the text, as they will encounter them on the same day with the text they're reading along with the classroom teacher. So it's really critical to introduce the academic vocabulary as part of the students comprehending the text. After the vocabulary lesson, the students then engage in learning a new skill. On the next slide, you will see This is I think someone needs to be muted. On the next slide, you would see here, after the vocabulary lesson, the students then engage in learning a new skill, such as in this lesson, there is a strategy on asking and answering questions. Each lesson is scripted in a step-by-step model where the teacher models and names the reading strategy. As in this example, the teacher models how to ask and answer questions while reading independently, because that will support the student's thinking and comprehension of the text. This is all laid out for the classroom teacher to use as a model in supporting the individual students in her classroom. As you would expect, there are instructional scaffolds for our multilingual learners, which lives in every single lesson of the HMH into reading and HMH into literature. These supports live in every lesson and every teacher's guide, offering scaffolded support for all students. So you can see it is divided into substantial support, moderate, and light. So it drills down to, for example, a student may need heavy support, substantial support, down to students who may just need a little bit as another reinforcement to access the curriculum. In addition, HMH into reading provides integrated language support. In addition to the scaffolds, here is another layer for language acquisition for students that need that specific support, especially for our English language learners, to support their focus on various language functions. And now Melinda will take us into HMH into literature overview for our middle school.
Thank you. So the difference between the K-5 into reading curriculum and the 6 through 8 into literature is that K-5 is where our students are learning to read. By the time they come to middle school, now they are reading to learn. They have gained all of those skills in order to be able to attack words, and now we are engaging them in different themes, texts across themes, where they are spending more time doing critical thinking of a text. So just wanted to show you quickly that across the grades, there are 6 units. We calendared it out where we're going to do minimum of 4 this year. So these are grade 6. We're all right now in Discovering Our Voice, where the students are reading texts around different kids their own age, discovering their own voice. Grade 7, we are all in reality check right now. And in grade 8, they are in gadgets and glitches, really looking at how automation is changing our world. Every unit begins with a spark. We are engaging them in setting their minds up for what is going to take place across the unit. So for instance, this is grade 6, unit 2, Never Give Up. And we're asking students to make connections. And before I go further, just so you know, the structure of each unit, each text within the unit is consistent, so that students get to see that there is their predictability for them, knowing what comes next. So we start with Spark Your Learning at the beginning of any one of the units, where we're asking students to make a connection. So for instance, this is what was the last challenge you faced? And really thinking about what they bring to the unit. We are always engaging with the essential question, the large question that is going to be the thread that goes through all of the texts that they read. So for instance, this one is, what keeps people from giving up? Again, engaging the students in bringing what they have to the unit. We are also, vocabulary is very important. There are academic vocabulary words that will be seen in all of the texts. So for instance, achieve, individual, instance, outcome, principle. And we're asking students to explain whether or not they understand that word or not. Quick assessments for teachers to know whether or not they have to revisit these words. Once we've sparked our learning, we get into the text selections. And there are approximately 3 to 4 different text selections within each unit. So this one has to do with Malala. and we are now engaging our brain. Every text selection in a unit begins with engage your brain. So now that we have sparked our learning and we know what the entire unit is going to be about, we are now going to focus more in on each of the text selection. And there are choices for teachers and for students. Some teachers are jigsawing, meaning they're giving different groups one of these questions and they all come together to see how they come together. There is explicit skills-based instruction in every single text selection. So for this particular text selection, it's analyzing the features of informational text. So this setting the students up for understanding that they are going to be reading something that's going to give them information. So it's not a story, but this is informational text. Every text selection encourages students to annotate the text that they are reading. There is always an explicit model by the teacher where he or she is demonstrating for the students. There are guided questions for students to use while they are annotating, and again, engaging in their vocabulary. And then there's always some more background knowledge, because the more background we give them, the more they have to bring to the text when they sit down to read it. Every text selection has planning for teachers. Just to give you an idea of all of the resources that are embedded within this curriculum for the teachers to use with their students. First, starting with the lesson overview, knowing that this particular text selection is going to take 5 days. They're going to do the get ready, which is engage your brain. This text selection, they're going to spend 2 days reading. And then they have 2 days to respond, whether it's in writing or some other choices that they're given. We always preview the text with the students so that they know what the story is going to be about. These are the explicit skills that students will engage with, analyzing. So this is actually from grade 8, The Brave Little Toaster. They're analyzing the plot. They're looking at science fiction, which is a genre that may be new to some of our students. They're going to look at summarizing, which is a very challenging skill. There's always discussion embedded. There's opportunities to create. So they're going to create their own comics. And then there's embedded grammar and vocabulary, where we're looking at context clues and the use of participles. There are online resources. Some of our schools, the students are using the actual physical book that they are writing in. And in many of our schools, the students are one-to-one with devices where they have an opportunity to click on these things and get other access to the text. So there are summaries. There are text sketches, which gives them a brief overview. And these are available in English and in Spanish. For students who may need a little additional support, there are peer coach videos. And the videos are presented by students who look like them, who talk like them, who are their own age, so that they have someone else to relate to and help them understand some of the skills that they might be struggling with. There is instructional support provided for the teachers. There are multilingual glossaries for every unit that has the vocabulary in multiple languages, not just Spanish, in Chinese, in Urdu, in Haitian Creole, whatever language we might need. The text sketches and the summaries with targeted passages are available in English and Spanish. If students are struggling to understand the skills, there are the peer coach videos. There are anchor charts that the teachers can display in both English and Spanish. And then there are some additional tutorials that can be provided to students should they need them. And then there is assessment throughout the unit so that the teacher has a pulse on how the students are doing. So there are quick checks, just quick questions that they ask along the way. There are choices for students to demonstrate their understanding in a way other than a pencil and paper kind of a test. Every text selection has a selection assessment. And then at the end of every unit, there is an end of unit assessment. And of course, just like in K-5, we have support for our multilingual learners. We have language objectives that are very specific. that are aligned to the objectives for the text selection, but are very specific to the type of language support that they might need. Substantial, moderate, light, so that is consistent throughout K through 8. And any culture, the cultural notes, so that there might be words that are not familiar in other languages, so that they are defined for students as well.
And lastly, with families, involving families in the classroom, parents are our partners, ensuring our students that we service, your children becoming proficient readers and to have a love for reading. HMH into reading and HMH into literature, both K to 8, involves the families in the classrooms by providing an overview of each model their children will be immersed in from kindergarten to 8th grade to middle school. And they're also in multi-languages, as you can see here. They're in Arabic, Chinese, French, Asian Creole, Portuguese, Vietnamese, to support our families and really just deepening an understanding of the HMH into literature and HMH into reading. And recently, 2 weeks ago, I presented to the parent coordinators. So parents are also very familiar with this information on HMH as they are now building in professional learning for the parents in each of our schools community. And we thank you for having us with you here today in building awareness of the HMH and curriculum. So thank you.
Does anyone have any questions about the curriculum? Share my screen.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Very informative.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being available to join us tonight. It was a great wealth of information, and it'll help us turnkey this information to our PAs and PTAs so that the parents are well aware of what's going on with HMH. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the next thing I'd like to do is provide a brief update on the CPAC meeting that I attended last week. There was a lot of good information that was shared. Specifically, they went into the high school admissions and middle school admissions process. There was talk about school safety, and one of the things that was discussed, which was something I was unaware of, is with regards to the debit card. Obviously, we all know we cannot take cash out of an ATM to reimburse someone for an expense. It has to be done with a check. But it was mentioned that you can use an ATM card to deposit cash into an ATM. So if you're ever having a function where you raise a lot of money and you don't want to wait over the weekend for the bank to be open, you can use that debit card to deposit cash into the ATM. Some of the other brief financial overviews that they gave were that signatures, no spouses or family relations can both be signatures on a check. So for example, if husband and wife, we actually had that last year where a husband and wife were both on our PTA executive board. If they were both signatories on checks, they could not both sign a check. It would have to be one of them and somebody else from the executive board. And if you're wondering who in your executive board is qualified to be or considered to be a signatory, you would want to check your bylaws because that would be specifically outlined in your bylaws. So that was just a brief update I wanted to give from CPAC. Now I'd like to open up the floor to any questions that anyone has about anything relating to your own PAPTAs or anything for the district. I guess you're a quiet group tonight. Esther, I forgot one of the things we do need to do is share out the DLT dates. Right. If you could pull that up
Second. Wait, I lost you guys. Where'd you guys go? Hold on, I can't. There you go. I'm like, where did they go? All right, so I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Give me 1 second. So you want to go to public meetings here. This is a district webpage, District 25, as you can see on the corner. And we want to share with you the district leadership team. What the district leadership team is like your SLT at the school. Just go ahead and click on district leadership team. And we're going to go to meeting schedule. Now, I want to remind you that this meeting is open to the public. You're welcome to join if you can. Right now, it's being held via Zoom. We had our meeting this morning. And as you can see, when it's highlighted here, you can go back and look at the recording. So any meeting, even our meetings, like I told you last month, you could click on it and you'll be able to see the documentation or the recording of the meeting. So you could go ahead and just see what we talked about in today's meeting. Our next DLT meeting will be Monday, November 13th, and it starts at 9 a.m. I'll go ahead and start.
Thank you. Thank you, Esther. And we have a question in the chat. Question regarding removing a person from the PTA bank account. Well, to my knowledge, you can either take a letter that they've signed requesting them to be removed, or they would need to go in person to your banking facility and fill out paperwork with the banking facility in order to be removed from the bank account.
In the event that the person is no longer available, meaning that they left and didn't, help you complete this transaction, your principal many times can write a letter stating that you are the newly elected treasurer or secretary of the PAPTA at such given school. A lot of the banks will accept that letter and then go ahead and make the correction of or updated correction of names to the account. Every bank is different. So if you have a specific bank and you're having issues, you could go ahead and reach out to me and I could try to work out with you. We did have a bank last year that was giving the PAPTA a very hard time. Finally, they did accept the principal's letter with the election certification form along with the minute notes. And finally, they went ahead and accepted that. Rachel, it was brought up to my attention, is a question was asked right before the meeting, is President's Council going to start a distribution list? I did inform them that I go ahead and communicate all President's Council information to the parent coordinators, who then turn that key and share with the PAPTA board and go ahead and post it in various in their school so that the parents will be invited. Remember, this also is an open meeting. Anybody could come and join. If you have a parent that's thinking of joining their PAPTA and it's not sure, tell them to swing by here and they get a little feel of what it's like. I know it's early in the year as it is only October, but you need to start thinking of who's going to run for, coming up, because start asking your people, inviting them so they could see what it's all about. So that way, when it comes to elections, you more or less have people that are interested in running.
Okay, so back to the chat. One school is going to reach out to you, Esther, because their bank is giving a hard time And they still haven't taken the person out.
Okay.
Angela Lamb from
Yeah.
PS 163 said they went to the bank last week to remove someone from the bank account. They needed the principal letter and 2 current board members to be present. So yes, like Esther mentioned, reach out to your bank just to confirm what they need, so you don't make a trip on a fruitless trip that you don't have the information that you need. We also have a question: how does the PTA get a debit card? First, my understanding from when I researched it from the bylaws or from the chancellor's regs is you need to get approval from your membership to obtain a debit card, if I'm not mistaken. And then you would just need to contact your bank in order to set up, to request a debit card from your bank. And they would send that to you, made out to the PAPTA name with a separate PIN. The PIN again would be used only for purchases or to deposit money. It cannot be used to take out cash from an ATM under any circumstances.
And it's always been the recommendation. It's always been the recommendation of District 25 to keep it simple. Once you start getting into debit and stuff, you're getting hands, and you really want to keep it simple. It is definitely an easy tool to have. But again, you just want to keep it simple. You don't want anything interrupting your finances in any way, shape, or form. You don't want money missing, because once it goes to investigation, you do, should any of your schools have to go to investigation because money it's missing, there is a halt on none of your events could happen until the event investigation is completed. And that does take time because it starts at President's Council. If President's Council can't seem to find the answer, then it goes to FACE and it adds time. So you're looking at anywhere from 3 to 4 months before something is resolved, that's going to hurt your school. So if you're going to go that route and get a debit card, please make sure that, everybody's aware of the do's and don'ts so that nobody, is not in compliance, and, that's just it.
And if you did use one, there's a debit disbursement form that does need to be completed for every transaction. And it does need to be signed off by the, I believe it's the treasurer and the president, or the requesting member and the president.
Yeah. So
Any other
people, and it's not, if I'm taking money out and I'm one of the signatures, I would need, the president and this recording secretary to go ahead and sign that request. You can't sign for yourself.
Okay, those are very good questions. Let's see, do we have any other questions in the chat, or anyone like to speak up and ask any questions?
I actually have a question regarding Zoom, and I'm not sure if anyone here can help, but we've kind of exhausted every option. So I figured I would ask. The Zoom link that I inherited for PTA meetings is a DOE email address. And every single time, no matter if I stay logged in or I try to stay logged in, I have to re-log into that link through the DOE Zoom. And it continuously asks for a OTP one-time passcode that goes to the old president's cell phone. No matter how many times we've logged in and changed the cell phone, I can't fix it.
So this is the reason why the city is changing their policy on email addresses.
Okay.
Instead of there being one email address for a PTA, now each PTA board member will have their own, so we won't have this problem going forward. So I'm interested to know what you did. You said you've logged into the security settings and removed that person's phone number?
Like everywhere I could find it, and I put my phone.
Well, you would need that person's support because it requires a code.
He's done it. He's gone in. I've gone in. We had contacted the parent coordinator and asked her to reach out, because I reached out to a customer service rep through the Zoom DOE, and he was like, I need your parent coordinator to reach out. I got her involved. She said she's not really making headway. I was like, I'm at my wit's end. He has to be present now every time I want to run a meeting or log in to send me the passcode. It's kind of
Can you
insane.
just add, instead of removing his number, can you just add your number as another number so that you can
As of
choose
right now,
which
in
one?
the account, the only phone number showing is mine, and it still goes to his. So there must be somewhere like in space that we can't see where
Yeah,
his number is.
I think you're going to the
we're
wrong
going transition.
place.
Plus, also, I think that we're going into transition. Training for Jenny and myself at the district are like, it's coming up. Once we get trained on how you're going to be moved to the new email, your parent coordinators will be able to walk you through that. I think that might be the problem because they're getting ready to change. But again, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, this has been since I started.
I can definitely fix it if you can get the person yourself together during the day. I can walk you guys through it.
Okay.
I just think that you're
right. We're missing a somewhere where
you're going
it says
to the wrong place.
Totally, and we just can't figure out where that is. We've tried, like I said, we've exhausted every option, and at this point, I would create a Zoom link with the PTA email, but you're limited to 45 minutes, and our meetings are not 45 minutes. I mean, we're there kind of, but I don't want to risk it.
Yeah.
So I'm putting the link in the chat that you need to go to update this setting.
Okay.
But we could do it together if you want. The person needs to be available because in order to log into that site, you need a code.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell everyone this right now, because I mean, the city might not change the email policy. You might keep your PTA email addresses. Don't use a phone number for multi-factor authentication. Use another email address, like a Gmail account for the PTA, that multiple people have access to that Gmail account so that the code gets emailed to you, and you just have the email address on your phone, and you're able just to log in and get that code, because phone numbers don't work unless it's your own account. Then it's fine. Okay, I can even do it tonight if you want. If you guys can get together tonight, I know it's short notice, but we can do it tomorrow or whenever.
Okay, thank you. I'll reach out to him. I mean, he's been pretty great. He understands. There's just nothing that he and I could do. This link that you sent me, by the way, is the link where I log into, and then that's where it sends me to ask. It asks for the OTP.
You need the code to get into that site, right? Yeah, and then you go to. I mean, this is actually the steps.
And then he sends me the OTP, and then I'm in with no issues.
Right, and then you have to click on the gear, and then you have to go to security, and then this is actually the steps. If you log into the Info Hub, you can look at the steps on the Info Hub.
Okay,
but there is, and then what you can do is you can add as many phone numbers as you want.
Okay.
And you can add email addresses that you can email as many as you want. And when you add multiple phone numbers, you can add every PTA board member.
Right.
And you would actually just choose the number that you want the code to get texted to, depending on who's logging in.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. No problem. I put my email in there as well if you want to coordinate. We can do it together.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you, Louis.
And Rachel, can I say one more thing? I just on the President's Council website we have the link to the Google Drive folder.
Yes.
I was wondering if you guys can start just popping in the minutes and stuff into the folder in there. And I'll put it into. This is Zelda, by the way. She just wants to.
Oh.
She knows when I'm talking that it's time to come over. She wasn't here the whole time. She wants to be a PTA president. Okay. So this is a link. She's rubbing her face on the camera. This is a link directly to the Google Drive folder. Rachel, you know the PTA Gmail account that Francis had set up? Do you guys use that one?
Yes.
Yeah, so I actually made, if you log into the Google Drive account with that Gmail account, you actually have edit access. So the whole world only can view those files, but if you guys log in with that Gmail account, you can edit those files, and then you can just drag the minutes and any other files. Like if you go in there, you'll see Dr. Mike's slides are in there from today. So you can put the minutes in there, and that way when it's time to share the minutes, we know exactly where they are.
Okay.
And then the public can also follow along. So
Can
that's
I
it.
drop Anna Regal's and Melinda's stuff in there too?
Oh, please, yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
And that's it.
So you're gonna give your presentation next month?
Yeah, next month we're going to do Zoom. I've been listening to what you guys have been saying, so we're going to be doing, first is going to be tips on just setting up a meeting on the website. How do we set up a meeting, what settings you should choose. Then we are going to do, we're going to be talking about once we're in a meeting, co-hosts, the participant lists, limiting people from unmuting themselves. I know Rachel mentioned that she wants to know about polls. We're going to talk about polls, and we'll talk about screen sharing. And we'll do all that stuff. It's a little bit hard to show that stuff when we're in Zoom. Does that make sense? Because you can't because Zoom likes to hide itself when you share your screen. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm just going to ahead of time make a bunch of slides with screenshots and stuff like that, and we'll just kind of go through all those things. I'll just have and then that way you can actually refer back to it later.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah,
we
sounds good.
We need it.
Yeah, you guys are
we
doing
talk
good.
about the book fair coming up, the book fairs at the park.
You want me to talk about that?
Yes.
We're having a book fair. No. We're having another event. I'm going to go ahead quickly and share my screen. So we are having another event. If you go to the district webpage, you'll see on the top we have a section that says District 25 Reads. So we're having two giveaways. We're going to be giving away books to our families. This is similar to the event we had at the end of August, which was very popular. We had 1,000 people come out in partnership with Councilmember Ung. So we're going to be doing two events. They're going to be happening next week on Tuesday the 24th and Thursday the 26th. On the 24th, we're going to be at Bound Park in partnership with Councilmember Palladino, having lots of fun, music, giving away, of course, books to kids. And then again, we'll be doing it on the 26th. Again, like last time in Casino Park, in partnership with Councilmember Ung. And we have the flyers available on this website. So if you guys can please circulate these flyers to your school communities. It doesn't matter what part of the district you're in. You guys can come to any of these events. They are geographically located on two different sides of the district so that we can kind of incorporate, everyone. But if you're only available on 24th, that's the day you can come, or you can come to both. It's all good. So we have both flyers on here, and then on the website. And if you go down, we have also the flyers in Spanish and in Chinese.
And if anybody could volunteer that day and want to
Mhm.
come out and help the district, let me know. We'll gladly appreciate it.
Perfect. So please share those flyers.
Yeah, there'll be CEC's gonna have a table there to go ahead and share what they do and they'll be giving out books too, I think.
Louis, there's another Zoom related question in the chat.
Yeah, I see it. So, the other day someone did something weird. Show captions. Caption language. Captions will appear in the language for everyone. Chinese. All right. So do you guys see the caption box on the bottom of the screen?
Yes.
But it's in English. So I don't know why I chose Chinese. Oh, but that's in Chinese. But now it's in English. I don't know. So Zoom does not, to my knowledge, do this. Does anyone speak Chinese? Maybe I should have chosen Spanish. Does anyone read Chinese?
That's where a lot of people are doing Google Meet because it has that.
So Google Meet has a really nice feature that I think that you can do live. It basically does transcriptions and then it transcribes that into the language that you choose. But yeah, I don't think this is working. I think this is maybe.
No, I think it's working. I see. Well, so I was just
I
playing
don't
with it.
know. This is a mess.
I was just playing with it, right? And
Oh.
I swear you're speaking Spanish right now.
Okay.
Unless I'm not reading. So you go into the captions, right? Look up. I clicked full transcript, and then
No, it's not
above
good.
it, there's language. There's language.
Yeah, it's a long
And it was
list.
on Spanish, yeah. But you know, like I had it on Spanish. I
Okay.
view full transcript. And right now I see like at the bottom your avatar, the one with the
Yeah,
computer screen,
yeah,
and it's I think it's Spanish. No, no mal, no más, muy
yeah,
bien.
but that's not what I was saying.
Okay, but it only translates.
I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, but it
Now it
says,
looks like I'm in
okay, it only
Chinese.
translates.
Chinese and Chinese.
Mine's in Chinese.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're gonna say that
But
this
it's a
doesn't
little bit
work.
off. So even when the English it said that I said for a moment I mean Chinese or something. So it's a little bit off, but it does say see it's a little
Okay.
bit delayed. And then it goes to Chinese and then English.
What
Yeah.
happened to the Spanish?
What happened to my
I
Spanish?
don't know. I don't know what I did. Like, wait, hold on.
Wait, so you're doing
Yeah,
it?
so oh no, mine's back in English. Let me go back. Let me change it to Spanish. Mine probably said you're not talking Spanish.
And then so you can also
Spanish.
see the transcript in the chat. Like if you guys all play
Yes,
around
I
with
brought
it.
that. I brought it up. I'm looking at that now.
Yeah. So before I just had almost like subtitles on the bottom. It went a little
Yes,
bit
but now you have the
crazy.
little. It makes like a chat out of the transcript.
Yeah. So I mean it kind of does, but it's not 100%. And then
Yeah, so
if
I'm
you
gonna
guys
say
play
no.
around,
Answer that question is no.
they might have more questions
Yeah.
using
So I
it
do know that
than it does.
some of our schools use Google Meet because Google has a feature like that. But another cat. But the Zoom feature does not work. Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, do we have any other questions for this evening?
Nope.
Okay. Well, so as mentioned in our November meeting, we're going to have the special education presentation and Zoom 101. If anybody has any specific subjects that they would like us to cover during President's Council, you could email us at d25pc1@gmail.com, and we can do our best to get that covered. Okay, now these captions are annoying.
It's all over, right?
Yeah.
I'll turn them off.
Yeah, I was like, what keeps?
At some point
gone?
it said finish. Yeah, they're gone. It said finish, and I'm like, okay, this is just crazy. So yeah, if anyone has any specific topics that they'd like us to cover, feel free to email President's Council at that email address, and we'll do our best to accommodate everyone's requests. And if there's no other questions, it's 7:45, and so I officially adjourn the October President's Council meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll stick around to the end. Should anybody be shy and want, I'll stick around to the end.